but I've got so many things that I have going on right now that are just, well, they just take time and it's hard to crunch them all in, but I'm really excited. I've got a bunch of new videos that I'm doing. I have the podcast, the Canadian Immigration Podcast, that is, I'm starting to do more episodes and scheduling all of the amazing lawyers across the country to come join me. I want to give a huge shout out to BJ Caruso, who yesterday joined me on my, I guess it would be maybe my third edition of Immigration Nation, which has been a little all over the place. But if you go to the YouTube channel, you will see that there is a playlist entitled Immigration Nation. And I bring on these awesome lawyers across the country to join me. Today's live Q&A is all about you guys. So we will see you in just a second. All right, welcome back. And as I indicated before, it is amazing to have you guys joining me. This is another edition of the Canada Immigration Live Q&A. I am your host, Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, putting all of these little backgrounds and experiences together to creating this live Q&A and the Canadian Immigration Institute. And there are a ton of things that are really I'm so excited to get them launched. And isn't it hilarious how you get these YouTubers, and I feel like I'm one of them now. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. In fairness, I actually am. I worked all day Saturday to create the first half of the new to be released EE Live. Well, no, but I'm so confused. My new Express Entry DIY course. And so all updated, all new content, all brand new resources and tools to help you navigate your way through Express Entry. Watch for this. My goal is to get it done by November the 30th, which is this weekend. And I know I can do it. So watch for that. Now, what are some other things that we need to shout out about? Well, let's go over to the website. Obviously, here's the consult page, but that's not where I'm going. Where I'm going right today is some massive news that I want to share with all of you. Breaking news right off the press. Guess where I'm going? EE rounds of invitations. You know I'm going here, and guess what I'm pulling up? This is absolutely crazy. Did I believe this was going to happen? No, I did not. Absolutely not believe this was going to happen. November 25th, today, breaking, moments away from happening, 5,000. That's the number of invitations. And look at this score, guys. 469. People had asked me for quite a while, Mark, do you believe that there's going to be a draw, an open draw? Remember, this is no program specified right here. Did you think that it was going to drop below 470? And my answer to most of those people was no. I did not think that it was going to drop below 469. And how do you know, right? How can you predict these things? But when they do two back-to-back draws of 5,000 people, this is what you get. So I want to express sincere congratulations to all of you out there who were lucky enough, or within the next couple minutes and the next hours this day, are going to get that magical ITA to be able to immigrate to Canada. So I couldn't help but give a big, massive shout out about that. Okay, let's just tune in. Let's just check in here and see where we've got. We've got Ralph as always connecting in, and it looks like I have adjusted this. Oh, seriously. I'm not sure why that is like that now. That's okay. I think I must have used this from a different version. But while I'm talking, I'm going to adjust this if I can. So I'm going to change this. This must have been an old one, I think, that I used. I'm going to get rid of that background. This is so hilarious. And I'm going to change this to, I should be able to do it, I think, to white. Okay, let's see how this works. Okay, hey, we can see it now. All right, this is what it's like on the fly, doing your live streams, shifting from window to window. So Ralph, it's awesome to see you, my friend. Okay, and we can definitely drop that one. And then Vivi, hello. great to have you. Farouk, it's good to have you. Let's see who else we have here. Ralph says good vibes here. Thank you, Ralph. I think there's good vibes as well. I'm going to back this off a little bit. I'm going to see if I can enlarge this a little bit, and then it'll be great. And I can hear you guys posting comments left and right, left and right. And it's just going pop, 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 pop. This is going to be an awesome live Q&A today. Okay, let's see who else we have here. We've got Caro is in Vancouver. Farouk, it's good to see you again, as always. I'm going to big shout out to Bar as well. We've got Ravi says, thank you for the Q&A. You bet, Ravi. I'm excited to get on here answering questions. Grav's over in India. A good morning to you, Ali. And Bar says, but the score is pretty high for my case. Hey, my friend, unfortunately, it is super, super competitive. 469 is a it's a massive blessing for many, many people. And so, Asani, bonjour to you. Bonjour to you. And Gates says, hey, Mark, good day. Gate from Edmonton, good to see you. Excellent. Let's see who else we have here. Okay, and then I know some of you are now starting to post your comments. So that's awesome. Grav, we'll give a shout out to you here. I'm doing awesome, Wasim. Good to see you. And then Rami says, hello, Mark. I received my PPR a couple of days ago. All right. We definitely have to get those sound effects going. That is congratulations, Rami. That's the celebrating that we want to have. Okay, let's see who else do we have here. Let's see here. This is hilarious. Okay, this is where, once again, people who post comments that are trying to fish on this site. This is so awesome. Okay, let's pull it up. Oh, let me backtrack here. What have I done? What have I done? I've spoken too soon. Okay, let's go back. I've got so many things going on, you guys. All right, edit, undo, hide overlay. Edit, undo, edit, undo. There we go. Now we're back. Okay, I'll try not to delete things as I'm going now. So this is just crazy. There's so many things going on. Okay, now what I wanted to do is I wanted to give Amer a shout out here. So interested for immigration to Canada? Faith_Fatih990@yahoo.com. Okay, so if Amer was doing their site, their basic live Q&A, how cool would it be, Amer, for me to go on yours and to start trying to promote myself? Well, I'll let you guys decide for yourself. But if Amer is doing that, well, I guess my followers can decide what they want to do. But personally, I have no respect for Amer for posting this on my stream. And I recommend anyone else who does it, go start your own. Build your own group. Other than trying to, be a leech and pull off of mine. All right, so there you go, Amer. I recommend no one uses Amer on my group. There you have it. Okay, moving on. Okay, Starbucks girl, good to see you back in action here. This is awesome. Okay, and we're just about to the question part here. Let's see here. We also have Lisa who's tuning in from Toronto. And okay, and then let's see what else we got here. Okay, Wasim says, new here, Mark. It's good to be subscribed now. How are you doing? I'm doing awesome. Thank you, Wasim. I'm going to give you one of these as a new subscriber. And guys, make sure you tell your friends. Let them know that we're doing this. We're just about over 23,000 subscribers. And this is so cool. Okay, a couple other things I wanted to let you guys know about as we move forward. One of them, Igor gave me my list of things to make sure I told you guys about this. So I'm going to flip over here. We've done our announcement about the, boy, I've got my mic. It's just all over the place here. We've done our announcement about, actually, maybe I'll keep on this screen here, and then I'll pull you over once I'm here, about the DIY course that is going to be finished right away. I've got, like I said, some awesome videos that are coming out, but I also want to show you guys here on the YouTube channel, those of you who are already here. So let's flip over to the website. Okay, so you'll see here, this is the live right now. This is what's happening. If you click on playlists, there are some things unfolding, okay? So we have a number of different playlists, and one of them is Immigration Nation. So if I view the full playlist, you'll see, actually I've done 4. I have another one that I'm recording on Thursday with my good friend Marina Sadai, and she's going to come to talk about some real cool things. But this is where I bring on other immigration lawyers across the country and really highlight how awesome they are. And BJ Caruso just yesterday knocked it out of the park with an amazing one on COVID and self-isolation in Canada. We talked about a little bit even people coming in and the things that they needed to do. And then before that, Betsy, we talked about the travel restrictions. It's all COVID. It seems like all the time, right? And then before that, Alicia and I, Alicia is one of the associate lawyers in my firm. She is super smart, awesome. She and I talked about the parent and grandparent sponsorship, lots of details. And then David Chalk kicked it all off with Quebec immigration. So go to the site, go to the playlist that is Immigration Nation, and go check it out. You'll also see within the videos that that I have, I've got another one that's kind of out there. And hey, this is mine, so I can do whatever I want. And this one is my, actually, I'm going to back up a little bit here. This is my, my out of office adventures. That's what I call it. So this is where I post different things. And actually, let's see if I can close this one so it's out of the way. This is where I post random things about me and the things that I'm doing. And I'm really excited because I've got a new GoPro that is going to be coming in that I'm going to be able to use when I go out into the forest and things recording. And so anyway, so these are some of my thoughts on that are just out there. And then right now, if you guys watch it, I am now starting to release a series of 7 every day for 7 days. Hashtag give thanks. Why I am so grateful for the things I have. And there's this massive campaign at Give Thanks that's swelling that I would encourage all of you guys to consider joining, posting once each day for 7 days in a row what you're grateful for. And then just see, guys, if you're just not a little bit more happy and a little bit more at peace with the situation that we're in. It's awful. It really is. Alberta has never had as many infections. The rates have never been higher. We just got notification that we're going to have to be in lockdown again. I can't go over to my friend's house to see them, just like many of you in your countries. My kids are in school till the 30th of November. Then they're coming home, and that means I'll have all 4 of my children in our home trying to use the bandwidth. And I guess we'll have to see how this works out with the live streams, but that's the world we're in. But notwithstanding all of that, there is so much to be grateful for. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. And let's see, I think the last piece that I want to do is to go right here and flip over to our website. And at the top, you'll see there's a resource section. And at that resource section, those of you who do not get your question answered today, you can go here, scroll down to the bottom, and at the bottom, there's a nice red link that says submit your questions for the next live Q&A. So go there, submit your questions, and just see if it is general, if it's of general applicability to everybody that is following whatever immigration stream you're following, as long as it's not specific, and it's a general question that's of benefit to all of the listeners, then you could very well be selected to have your question included here. And you know what? It's actually probably a good thing for me to see if I can shift over right here and show you. This is the first question. Now, always remember this here, that symbol is the sound that tells you that this is a legal question. It's specific to that person. And therefore you really need to book a consultation with me in order to get that issue or that question that you have resolved. So you guys all know on the website at any time, you can always slide over. I guess I need to adjust my screen over here a little bit. You can slide over right here to the firm website and you can book a consultation with any of our lawyers. You choose the time, you book it on the spot. It's there locked in. And you can see Edmonton, Susan is in Edmonton, Alicia's in Calgary, I'm in Lethbridge, if you guys are wondering where we're at, and we're a virtual firm. So we do not have an office that you have to pay for. That's the beauty of this system. All right, let's jump back here now and get back to some more listener or viewer questions. And then we'll jump over and get to some that people had sent in through the website. Woo, that is a lot of talking. All right, let's see if we can get to some helpful information now. Okay, let's go back and we'll start from the beginning and we'll select a few out here. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we'll try and shrink this down a bit here. It's kind of small. Okay, Raid says, is in my daughter's the medical test, the expiration date of her passport was written incorrectly due to a glitch in the system. The doctor was not able to correct it. Would this be a problem? No, I would not worry about that. Obviously, if the doctor can't correct it, I would want you to get an email or something from that doctor confirming that they couldn't fix it. And then remember, there's a barcode associated with that medical. And that when you upload your medical, immigration should be able to find it. But I would definitely include a letter of explanation that confirms the problem to the officer before you submit your EAPR, and then identify it. Make sure, obviously, you're going to be uploading the medicals in any event, but just draw it to the attention of the officer. If you can get a confirmation from the doctor saying, I can't fix it, then that's going to give you the most protection and insurance to make sure that nothing goes sideways. Okay. All right. Tanuja says here, I'll back this up a little bit. She says, I had raised an educational loan for my studies a few years back. I haven't repaid the loan completely. Can I use the same bank account for proof of funds, though a gift deed for my mother? Well, understand, when it comes to proof of funds, immigration looks at your whole financial picture. And what many overseas agents and consultants say is you only need to include one bank account with the information in it. You don't need to indicate anything else. That is not the case. The reality is you have an obligation to disclose your full financial picture. You have to indicate exactly which accounts that you have your assets in and which loans or your liabilities are out there. Now, they don't take your loans and simply subtract them from your assets, and therefore whatever's left over is your settlement funds. No. Yes, you absolutely can include both a loan and gift deed in the same account, but the key for you is if you're trying to provide an account with a negative balance, right, then that's probably not going to work so well. So if by using your gift deed and putting it into a bank account that has like a negative balance, if it's like a line of credit, for instance, then that's going to be a problem because immigration is going to look at it and say, well, you don't have those funds because you're actually at a deficit. But having it in a separate account and having your assets in another one in your situation probably makes sense. Now, what do the immigration officers look at? They look at whether or not you have the ability to continue servicing that loan without compromising the funds you need to settle in Canada. And the people that are in Canada right now who landed just pre-pandemic, they know more than anyone else how important it is to actually have that money available. If you can't get a job, if you're struggling to provide for yourself, having those extra 2 or 3 months to get yourself situated or sorted, or 4 months before you can even find a survival job, is going to be critical. So immigration will very, very carefully look at your funds to make sure that you legitimately have them available to help you navigate. We have projections, at least in Alberta, of, not till 2023 are we expected to actually recover from this. So what does that mean? It means that there's going to be fewer jobs, but there's lots of opportunity. And as the vaccines start rolling out, which I'm excited about, hearing all these stories about the vaccines, I think, we're all just looking at this amazing light at the end of the tunnel, hoping to get through it. But in your case, Tanuja, I'd recommend that if adding it is still going to have a negative balance, then don't do that. I think anyone who's in that situation, if you have debts, the way I approach it with my clients is I tell them, look, if you have debts that you have to service, then you calculate those payments. You show to immigration that you have enough resources to cover all of those payments for your debts for the next 6 months or 6 months after you land. Plus, on top of it, you have the full settlement amount that you need. That's what I advise my clients. All right, excellent. Great question. I'm going to give a big shout out to Tanuja that's a really, really good question. Okay, here's a good one. Lisa, she says, hey, do you know anything about spousal applicants? Immigration lost her application. Now my husband has to go back to England and apply outland. Any idea on processing time? Lisa, right here, Lisa, you need to book a consultation with my firm. I do not want your husband having to leave. Go and book a consult right here. I do not want him to have to leave before you guys have had, I'll close that out of there, before you guys actually have the advice that you need to know what you should and what you shouldn't do. So it may be that, yes, that's the case, and you actually do have to leave, But I highly recommend, Lisa, that you very, very strongly consider booking a consult so that we can talk about this, okay? So when it comes to spousals, we do more spousals than it's number 2 to Express Entry. We do probably number 2 as far as volume within our office is spousal sponsorships. And when you're in Canada and you have a spouse, almost always there's a policy that can be put in place to prevent immigration from removing someone who's the subject of a sponsorship application. Now, as far as losing the application, yeah, that's heart-wrenching. And this is part of the reason why I advise my clients to always make a copy of it, to send it via courier. And if you did, and you have a tracking receipt showing that they received it, then oh my goodness, we can fight this. So Lisa, make sure that you slide over and consider booking a consult right now, and let's get you set up so that we can sort out exactly the best options for you. And that's why I'm here, right? I'm here to answer these questions, to keep you guys apprised of information that's beneficial to everyone. And I'm also here to help you identify when you really do need to get legal advice. I'm talking legal advice, not a rep to just help you fill out a form, but actual legal advice. Okay, all right. Moving down here, moving down. Okay, Philippe here has a question. He says, "Hi, Mr. Mark. Hope you are well. My question is, once one has its PR in hand, I wonder what are the reasons that IRCC allows PR renewal for a period less than 2 years inland out of 5 years required?" Okay, so let's see if I can decompress this here. Or decompartmentalize this. I wonder what are the reasons that IRCC allows a permanent resident renewal. I'm assuming what you're talking about is a PR card renewal, the renewal of your card. Remember, you don't renew your permanent residence. You're always a permanent resident until someone decides that you're not. This one here, Philippe, is probably also a consult. But what you have to realize is that if you are in Canada right now, that's the key. And I don't know if you are, Philippe, but if you're in Canada right now, you have no obligation to renew your PR card at all. If you're in Canada, you remain in Canada, you are a permanent resident, and the PR card is only designed to allow you to travel and re-enter. So if you go to the Canadian Immigration Podcast, I did an awesome podcast episode with Chantel Deloge, another awesome immigration lawyer in the country. I'm going to go here and I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to go to a website because there are tons of resources that you guys don't even know exist that I've already created as well. So the Canadian Immigration Podcast. And you know what? I could probably even take it one step further and share, but I'll go with Chantel here. I'll go in there and I'll pull it up and let's see what it pulls up. Okay, so that one's, this is a good one too. Robert Leong, awesome episode. And this is all good stuff. And there's Chantel's, what everybody should know about Canadian permanent resident status. So go here, check it out, and go to the Canadian Immigration Podcast website. There's going to be a bunch of new episodes going. And you know, while you're traveling, if you're sitting around, you can multitask while you listen to the podcast. You don't have to be right here watching it with me. That's why I created it. And in all honesty, that's where it all got started. It was the Canadian Immigration Podcast. Okay. Woo. All right, moving along. So go check it out. And just to close off the loop, Philippe, the reality is if you're outside of Canada, and you do not believe you're going to meet the residency requirements, or if your PR card is already expired, then you've got issues because you're going to need to request a permanent resident travel document, a PRTD. And at that stage, they'll do the residency determination. And if you haven't met it, then that's probably going to get refused. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on with respect to if you're in Canada and you're in the process of a residency determination and how much discretion an officer has. All of those things are what we call actual legal stuff. And so it takes us down a path that would be a whole discussion in and of itself, but go check out those episodes of the Canadian Immigration Podcast. I know they will be helpful to you. All right. Okay, this is easy here. Here's a good one. How to prove sibling relationship. Okay, guys, how do you do that? Let's go. We'll close this. We'll flip over to the website and we'll go to the most important website on the IRCC site related to Express Entry, and it's called the Express Entry Completeness Check. This right here is the source for tons of information on your documents. So what am I going to search for? I'm going to search for, how about we search for sibling? Do I have sibling? Let's see here. Okay, so let's try family, and then we'll flip through here and just see medical, police, proof of funds, use of rep. Come on, where are you? Oh, go back. Okay, there we go. Proving. Okay, proof of relationship, relative. You can see right here, there's the document requirements right there. If you're trying to prove a sibling in Canada, you need to satisfy that your relative is in Canada who's a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. And remember, brother or sister is the only way you're getting CRS points. So the document requirements that you need are set out right here. Okay. And so, and remember that the sibling can be both you or your spouse if your spouse is accompanying you. So a copy of both sides of the Canadian citizenship document or permanent resident card or whatever proves status, evidence that your family member resides. So a residence lease, mortgage, utility, and remember, it must be dated within 6 months prior to submission. And then if we go further, proof of your relationship, proof that you're actually siblings. And so some people from India realize that your passport showing your relative's parentage also works if you can't get a birth certificate. But for the rest of us, birth certificates that are long form birth certificates that show the name of at least one of the parents, you can be a step, brother or sister, as long as you have the same parent. Okay, that's by birth. Okay, so you can show your lineage to that parent. Now there's some other things, and you can see stepbrothers and stepsisters are fine as long as both parents are still together. But if they are no longer together and that those parents have a marriage breakdown, then you're no longer going to be eligible. Whew, there was a lightning fast. That's the kind of stuff that's going to be in the course, folks. That's the kind of stuff that is being built into the express entry step-by-step guide. It's not even a guide, it's a course, a DIY course to doing it yourself. All right, so stay tuned. Like I said, November the 30th, and I'm gonna cheer because it is awesome and you guys are gonna love it. All right, there's also obviously one that exists right now that is also awesome, but some people said, oh, Mark, you look like you're way skinnier, and that's true. I'm way fatter now, so I better do a fat video, right, for you guys so that the person you see here looks like the person who recorded it. Although I have set new goals and I'm on a mission to trim down this chubbiness, this COVID 35 that I put on during the midst of this pandemic. Oh, see, this is all about having fun. Why not? Okay, let's see what we've got here. Okay, so Alex says, let's see what he's got here. Thanks for your service. How long is it actually taking to receive PR card after submitting the photo for inland COPR? I see some people receiving within 2 months, but is it taking longer? It is all over the map, my friend. Remember, with all this social distancing, some offices are not back to the same level that others were. The emails that come out that say, congratulations, you're a permanent resident, Alex. Send your photo into the local office. That's the key. The local office has different times depending upon which one that you're actually communicating with when it comes to the PR card. Now, anyone knows you can go over here to the government's website. Once again, pull up a new page called IRCC processing times. And although you can't really rely on this right now because of the volatility with everything, when you go here and you go down to PR card right here, and this is your first one. No, I'm waiting for my new card, and you click on it, you can see that it's sitting at 125 days. So those who are getting it in 2 months, consider yourself like it's a bonus. All right. Okay. Great question. Moving on. Okay. All right. Let's go here. Okay. This one is from Clara, and she says, for listing the addresses for the past 10 years in the profile. Okay. Well, one thing, you're not listing your addresses in the profile. That doesn't come until after you get your ITA. So I'm assuming in your EAPR is what you're referring to. Do I have to include temporary local addresses where I stayed about 2 to 3 days a week, not every month? Clara, this one right here, I'm going to ring the bell because every single person is different. Now, here's how I approach it. And you can go and search the YouTube channel. I talk about how I deal with address and travel history a little bit in those videos. There's going to be some really good videos that relate to this in the new Express Entry DIY course. But for you, Claire, right now, if I have an address in one location and it's within the same country, I'm going back, staying periodically, there's two ways that you can do it. So one way is to list both addresses over that full period of time, and then in your letter of explanation, indicate exactly what you've said. I stay here on the weekends and then I go back here, during the weekdays. And you can do it that way. Or you can use the one address, list just the one that you primarily stay at, and then in your letter of explanation say, please note that 2 to 3 days out of the week during this period, I also stayed at this other place, but I didn't include it in my address history because it was just too hard to put 5,000 entries. So those are the two ways generally how I deal with it, Clara. All right. Okay. Do you think the low score 469 will continue or suddenly become high? It's a pretty simple equation, you guys. It's so simple. In fact, if you are wondering about this, it all comes down to how frequently they do these rounds of invitations. If they do another round of invitations for 5,000 people, the score is going to go down. If they do it in a week or 2 weeks, that score is going to drop again because there are not that many people that are new coming into the express entry system because of the pandemic. Like, people are able to schedule language tests. People are able to get their ECAs done, but they're not happening as fast. So the reason it dropped to 469 is because there were a bunch of people that are just not yet into the pool that have those higher 470 plus scores. So it's possible. I've actually encouraged them, guys, for those of you who are in Canada, in my meeting before the Standing Committee on Immigration. So I think some of you were aware. If you I'll go to my website. I'll go to the website here, and my stupid mic, I don't know what they were doing there, but if you go here to the Government of Canada's Standing Committee on Immigration, you can watch my testimony and how I appeared before government and shared my thoughts on immigration. And they are studying right now the impact right here of COVID-19 on the immigration system. And one of my recommendations was that they actually did more CEC draws to make sure that the people who are trapped in Canada actually have an opportunity. Because you're right, 469 is above or too high for many people that are actually in Canada. So I think it was the 16th that I did mine. If you look here, and then we go to, let's just see here if I can find it. Okay, bear with me for a second. So witnesses, there's been 33. And let's see if we can find Mr. Mark here. Control find Mark. There I am. Okay, it was the 18th. So on the 18th, myself and my good friend Alistair Clark, as well as Elizabeth Long and Kelly Goldthorpe, we all gave our evidence before the Standing Committee on Immigration. You can actually watch it. And I kind of hit on the things that I thought were the most important for immigration to address. And this is basically what this is. It's the Government of Canada, and they have these standing committees that they hold. It's basically an ongoing committee where they do studies to try to measure, the challenges that immigration is going through. So go check that out. But yeah, and that's the case basically. It's possible if they do another round right away quick, then yes, it could definitely drop. Okay, now I know a lot of people have posted a lot of things. I'm going to do a big jump because I know that people that are tuning in here, I know that if you don't get your question asked, you can always go back, just like I showed you before here, and we go back to questions on the resource page. Scroll to the bottom and put your questions in here. And that is a perfect segue to now for us to shift over to the questions that were sent in there. All right. So this question says, I'm a new permanent resident of Canada, applied as a CEC, have a valid COPR, and currently waiting for my PR card. Can I leave the country and ask a friend to send the PR card via FedEx? Yes, you can do that, but understand that Canada doesn't have rules in mailing anything like some other countries do. But you have to be very careful. What if it gets lost? What if it gets stolen? I never advise my clients to leave the country until they have their PR card in hand. And obviously, one of the things I want to point out as well is that with the travel restrictions, you're not supposed to do soft landings. The border does not like it, and neither does Canada. Only people who are traveling for a non-optional or non-discretionary purpose are and should be bordered and admitted to come to Canada. Soft landings are not something that the government of Canada wants. That's why they opened up those options for people to be able to notify them if they have an expiring PR card and then go from there. Okay. Sorry, an expiring COPR and permanent resident visa. And then there's a mechanism for them to be able to travel, after. I need a drink of water here. All right. Okay, let's take a step forward here. Okay, I'm currently living in Montreal. I got my CSQ refused because of a wrong document, and they may not accept to review any other applications in the next 5 years or less. However, that aligned with the time I got laid off from work due to COVID, and I found another job in Toronto, and I'm moving there. Is it possible to apply for express entry there in Toronto? Yes, it is. But you have to demonstrate, remember, that you always have an intention to reside outside the province of Quebec. Can you include work history in Quebec? Yeah, you can. There's no restriction on that. But anyone who's living in Quebec and is thinking about going through express entry, I strongly advise you to move outside of Quebec. Now, I'm sure other lawyers take more of a risk tolerant approach, but for me, I'm risk averse. And I believe that if you're actually living outside of Quebec, that's a pretty strong indicator that you have an intention of residing outside Quebec. Okay, good question. Okay, next one. So that was Mohammed. This one's from Otzi. It says, for my first job, I worked as a quality control chemist, and I'm finding an equal amount of my duties in 2 NOCs. Please, what do you suggest I do? They're both incredibly similar. I have a BS in chemistry, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to ring this one, my friend. Igor, this is a specific question, my friend. I'm going to ring it twice. So the question for Otzi here, you really need to book a consult because, yeah, there is... we have to look at the duties and assess this in detail, not something we can do on the live Q&A. Okay, this one's from Giselle. She says, can the gift deed from my parents be for the entire sum required as proof of funds? Will that raise a red flag? No, it will not. But I'll tell you, for myself, gift deeds come from family, not from friends. Friends loan money, family give money and gift money. And as long as that gift deed is legally constituted, it's binding in the country in which it's made. I also include the source of the funds, your parents' account, showing the transfer and depositing into your own account, as well as the gift deed. But yeah, if it's the entire sum, that's fine. But what is your other income? Do you have other debts? Is there other things that could factor into this, right? It's not just a matter of setting up a new account, putting the gift deed funds in, and then concealing everything else. That, in my opinion, would be a misrepresentation. All right, let's go through a couple more here. Does requesting notes from your application affect in any way the processing of your application negatively? Not at all, Lewis, not at all. In fact, they're 2 different departments. The ATIP folks, the Access to Information and Privacy folks, they will just pull out the information from the system. They have no contact or no communication with the actual officer working on your file. So no, anyone who says that is stupid. But does it create more work for the ATIP folks if you're requesting it every 3 weeks? Yes. So don't do that. There's no need to do that. We know things are going slower. We know they are. The only time I really consider doing an access to information request is if it's longer than what normally would be the processing time, because that usually means that it's probably been triggered for the review to another officer. And then at that stage, I jump in quick, do the GCMS notes, figure out what they could be having an issue with, and then I load in a whole bunch more documentation to support whatever might be deficient. Now, from my own perspective here, I'll tell you that I don't worry about that with my own clients, because at the beginning, right at the start, we make sure that everything is done properly. But I get lots of consults from people who say, oh, my application's kind of stalled out, or they themselves have done the GCMS request and realize that there's a problem with their work history. Wow, that happens all the time, all the time. All right. Okay. Okay, so I think this is a sad one here. So Pancham says, I want to help me on my 5-year ban on my study visa just because they said my IELTS is fake, which is real, is genuine, it's not fake, and they said you're welcome to reapply, new file. What should I do? Right here, Pancham. Book a consult. Let's take a look. But you have to act quick. If they have said that there is, they don't accept it, you probably have a misrep bar. You know, they don't just say it's fake and then not issue a 5-year bar. So there's a lot more at that. You know, I recommend, Pancham, that you do right that. Book a consult, head over to our website right here. And I think it's right there. Yeah, and book a consult right here with one of our lawyers. And Alicia is awesome. Susan is great. And I'm here to help as well. All right, let's go back to the comments. Cruising along here. The next one that we have, let's see here. Okay, I love this. Wasim, you rule. He says, Sylvia, valuable information right here. He provides a straight path. I hope I do. Otherwise, what's the point of being a lawyer if I don't? Okay, Rishi, good to see you. First timer, awesome. All right, let's see here. Okay, Sylvia says, agreed. Appreciate your response. All the best. Hey, awesome. Okay, Sabia, he says, hello, I got my PPR. There's a big cheer for you, my friend. That is awesome. Congratulations. Okay, let's pull up Cheaton's question here. Are Canadian PRs allowed to travel to visit family in the US from Canada, return within 2 weeks back to Canada now, with the opposite, visit Canada, return us work as well? Okay, so the big thing that you have to remember, Cheaton, and this is where in the, let me just see here, if I flip back here to the website, and actually we got to close you out of there. If we go here to this one, actually not this one, go back to the site and go to, wow, I've got so much going on here. This is quite entertaining. All right, so if you go here to the one that I just did with BJ yesterday on self-isolation, one of the things that you have to realize is that immigration right now, the officers, you have to have a very good reason while you're traveling. And if you're just going back to visit family, yes, you can return to Canada from the US, but understand that you are going to have to quarantine. You're going to have to self-isolate for 14 days. So make sure you have your plan in place, because that's the one issue with going to the US and then coming back. All right. Okay. All right. Cruising here. Wasim, thank you so much. He says, please like this video at least. Valuable information being shared in real time. It is. Like, you guys have to realize you can't fake this stuff, right? I don't have this team of people behind writing some script for me. This is real time. I don't look at these. I don't study these before. I've got no time. They just pop up and then I just answer them. So you guys decide what you want to do. I don't care. Okay. Okay. Kylan says, a friend of mine from Israel brought his wife on visit visa and delivered her baby through the government health 5 years ago. And now child Canadian passport has already expired. Well, apply for a new one. Okay. I'll go. I'll play this out. They don't know if they will be in trouble when going to Canadian embassy in Tel Aviv. Do you think embassy will give them a hard time while submitting passport renewal application? No, that child is a Canadian citizen. They have every right in the world to get that passport. Every right in the world. Okay. Adam says, hello, please tell us about how IRCC will process applications based paper in final steps backlog of 2019. Not a clue. They are scanning those in. They're trying to get those applications to officers who are working remotely. Remember, Ontario's locked down. Alberta's locked down. Many of the provinces are in full lockdown because the rate of coronavirus is expanding. The number of infections is expanding. And so they're having to lock things down. And so those individuals that are who are fortunate enough to have their spousal applications scanned, because the IRCC has outsourced this to another third party to start scanning these for them. The sooner they get it scanned, then officers will be able to work virtually from their homes on your application. But until that time, we just don't know. But in my advice to the standing committee, you are the individuals, the ones that are stuck in the backlog. They're the ones that absolutely, I said, need to be placed in priority. This is awesome. Okay, I love this. This is why I love doing this. Okay, so Katie says, Mark, maybe if you like, follow Dr. Berg's intermittent fasting program and you'll lose unwanted weight very, very quickly. I did it, and within 3 weeks, magic. Awesome, Katie. Fantastic. Post a link. I'll check it out. Now, one of the most important aspects of my plan for losing weight is 2 things. One, right here. Well, actually, I'll go to the full screen. One, And I'll also remove Katie here off of here. The first thing is that I'm going to stop snacking and eating garbage and binging Netflix shows every evening when I'm done work. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. 2, I've gotten back on my bike. Well, those of you who remember, when my office was on the other side of Lethbridge, I had to ride down this big steep river valley and up the other side. And that whole process basically exerted a lot of calories to get up there. So I didn't have to worry as much about what I ate. So now, because I don't have that and I walk 2 steps to my office, I'm going to be getting on my stationary bike and riding. In fact, the last 2 days, I got back on the bike and I rode. And so so I already feel a whole lot better just doing that, getting back in the groove. So those are the first 2 things, is just watching what I eat and exercising more. Not rocket science, but my goodness, sometimes it's just hard to do that. Stress, all the pressures, work, all that kind of stuff. So, but thanks, Katie. That was awesome. I love that. I love you guys. You're so awesome. Okay, that's so good. And the people that are posting on here, I love some of these comments. I wish awesome. Wasim, I can see yours. I'm going to hunt you down and I'm going to remove you from the group. That's awesome. I love this. Okay. Any updates? Radio says, any updates on the parent sponsorship invitation? I'm sorry, my friend. We haven't heard anything. In fact, I'm not sure if people are getting notifications yet. Maybe they are. We haven't heard of anything yet. Okay. Cruising down here. Okay. Rishi says, if I move or get transferred from a subsidiary company to a parent company, how do I show them as work experience on the Express Entry profile? Subsidiary and parent company have different names. Letter of explanation, or include it in the actual letter from the company. If you're transferred to the subsidiary, then have the subsidiary write, do the letter of reference for you, and then indicate that they are a subsidiary of the parent company, and just explain it in the lead paragraph. Or alternatively, get a separate one from the parent and a separate one from the subsidiary. But the letter of explanation can help you to explain, to work through all of that. And remember, I'll ring this here. Rishi, if you need help, book a consult and I can show you how to set that up and I can give you direction. All right. Remember, everybody is just a little bit different. Okay. Johnson says, my passport age was wrong and I've applied for a work permit with this until 2014, but was denied now, have applied for correction. How will inform IRCC? You don't need to worry about it. At the end of the day, you've corrected it. If you want to identify this in your letter of explanation, you can do that. You can just say, please note that my old passport, and you can even include a copy of your old passport, had the wrong birthday in it. It's now been changed. It's correct. And just wanted to let you know. Simple as that. Simple as that. Okay, let's see who's next here. Okay, here's a good question. Kadri says, what's the TOEFL score for coming to Canada? Doesn't matter. Canada does not accept TOEFL results for the purposes of immigrating. It's either the IELTS or the CELPIP. And then for English, French is different. The TCF or TEF exams are for French. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so right here, okay, so Ninja. I wonder if this dude's a gamer. What do you guys think? He's a gamer? Yeah, he is. Okay, I'm also going to give him this one right here, my little ring, because, dude, this requires a consult. Slide over to our site here and book a consult with one of us, because the reality is your question is specifically related to you. All right? So we'll need to address that. That is so awesome. Ninja Fortnite. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Jeannie says, it's always good to hear from you. I'm in Canada on a post-grad work permit and working as a manager in a restaurant. Okay. My CRS score is 463. Is there any chance for the score will come down? So for you, Jeannie, I would, at this stage, I said that it probably wouldn't go below 470. Now, if they do a CEC draw, I think you're in luck. So if they do a Canadian Experience Class only draw, I think you're going to be in luck. And I have a sense that that's a direction that they're probably going to be going. So just watch, be patient. Do everything you can, though, to try to increase your score if possible. It may be in your situation that you need to work another year. I don't know when your postgrad's expiring, but, you know, and there's French, there's other ways that you can increase your scores, but that's, yeah, it's hard to say. An open draw dropping down to 463 would be pretty tough because there are tens of thousands of people in the queue that are above that 463 range, between 463 and 469 right now. Okay. At John, need to book a consult before I become a grizzly moose. I don't know what that is. That's hilarious. Actually, I wish I had, just wait. Do I have anything better here? Maybe that sound. Oh, it's so funny. So funny. Okay. Okay, let's check this one out. This is from Cuppy Group 4. Regarding my foreign work experience, can I add 2 different knock codes to get the max CRS score? Example, 1.5 years as a mechanical engineer and 1.5 years as a technical sales specialist will give me 3 years. Okay, I'll ring this one first because obviously there's a lot of factors at play and you're asking me, can I get this? But I'm going to separate it out because I want to try to give information that's helpful. What this comes down to is whether or not you met the minimum eligibility criteria for the Federal Skilled Worker Program. So did you meet the minimum 67-point threshold with only 1 year of skilled work experience? If the answer is yes, then absolutely you can have 2 different knocks to meet the CRS maximum of 3 years or more foreign work experience, which maximizes your skill transferability factors. So in your situation here, Cuppy Group 4, if based on just your 1.5 years as a mechanical engineer, and you do the assessment, the eligibility assessment under the Federal Skilled Worker Program, and you meet 67 points with just the 1 year, then you're fine. If not, if you need all 3 years to meet the 67 points, then no, because the Federal Skilled Worker Program only allows you to claim those points under the same knock. It's the comprehensive ranking system that allows you to pull together different things from different time periods as long as you meet the minimum eligibility criteria first. All right. That's a great question. I'm gonna give that a little congratulations. Okay. Okay. Aisha, please share your processing time. It'll help us. My friend, I don't know what you mean. I'm not sure what that means, Aisha. I guess what I could do is just flip back to the website and have you guys check out 2 things on our website. The first, right here, if you go to the main site, is that you will see a video that I did, which is really awesome. It's called What Makes Houthi Immigration Law So Special. That'll give you an overview of what we do and why we're just different than most people, well, really everyone out on the market. Then the next thing I want you to do is I want you to go over to the About Us page right here and click on Approach. And yes, the page is working. Thank you, Igor, for fixing this. You'll see we are client-centered, firm supported. And if you go down here, you can watch another video which says, what is the collaborative review model? So go over there and check it out. Now, why am I bringing this up? Okay, so your question here says, what's the processing time? Well, when it comes to preparing an application, as far as IRCC, I can't answer what the processing time is and how long it's taking them to do applications, because for all of the reasons that we talked about before. Overseas, inland are still moving forward. Overseas, lots of embassies are not quite open full. They're working in skeleton, so I can't answer that. But from the standpoint of our office, we have very, very little delay. Why? Because we give you the tools to put your own application together, and then you retain us at a fraction of what you'd normally pay other folks to go in, review, and do it together with you. Make sure that you haven't made any mistakes. Review all the documents. The only real difference is instead of you paying me to have some administrative person or a paralegal transcribe your questionnaire to my own rep portal and then you have no control over it, the way we work is that you drive the ship. We're here to support you as much or as little help as you need. And then at the end of the day, we believe that you and I, and you and the other lawyers in my firm, working collaboratively together will produce the best quality application that we could, compared to if we were to do it on our own. All right. So there we go, Aisha. Good question. And I don't know if I answered it, but hey, it opened up the door to answer whatever I wanted to answer. Okay, let's we'll zip down through here a few more. And if, like I said, if I missed your question, remember you can always go right over here to our website once again and go to the resources section right here. And at the bottom of the resources page is where you can submit your question for the next live Q&A, right down here at the bottom. Okay. Whew, awesome. All right. We are just about through this episode of the Express Entry. Wait a minute. It used to be the EE Live Q&A in the early days. And so sometimes I drift back into it. So in the early days, that's where it started. It was the EE Live Q&A that I would do in the private Facebook group. And speaking of that private Facebook group, I do want to give a shout out to that. Okay, so we're going to go over here to my Facebook page and we're going to go, and you guys can do the same thing. I wonder if I actually am logged in. Maybe I can't even do this. I guess we'll see. Okay, it is open. All right, I will go right here and then I will share my screen with you fine folks. Right here is the Express Entry Law private Facebook group that you can join. We're over 126,000 members right now. This is where you can go in, post your questions, and you can see here, big celebration for 69. Magic is real. Igor rules. He's so awesome. I just love this. He rules. Anyway, so that's where you can get questions answered and you can collaborate, you can share, you can help each other. You know, those who are looking to mine for new clients as consultants or otherwise, that's prohibited, obviously. But the key here is that people have to request to join and then they're admitted. So we have individually admitted 126,000 people over the, I don't know when we first started this, 2015, I guess. Okay, it's an awesome group, so go check it out. Okay, let's answer a few more questions. We got a little bit of a late start here, so let's answer a few more questions from our listeners. Okay, Amna says, hey Mark, can I apply for a TRV? My spousal sponsorship in process, and I applied 2019, now almost 20 months. I know, Amna. One of the things, 179B maybe, is the horrific little section of the immigration and refugee protection regulations that says you have to show that you'll have an intention to go back to your home country if you're applying for a temporary resident visa. And the officers pretty much say, for many visa required countries, well, if you are the subject of a spousal sponsorship, you ain't going back. And so they refuse. And it's horrible. And I've indicated even in my own submissions and things to the standing committee, the reality is that situation, there really needs to be a separate visa for you guys, like a parental visa. But that's my opinion. And I wish that there was a way to create the spousal TRV program to facilitate your travel to Canada. But I'll be honest, Amna, there's a reason for it. It's because of the unbelievably high rates of fraud that exist in some countries and maybe even in your country. And when there's high people paying, you know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to have someone sponsor them and marry them, well, yeah, it's ruining it for everybody else. And I just talked with someone just last week where they'd paid, I think it was $60,000 US for a job offer. And then they booked a consult with me because the person that they paid the money to, an immigration consultant, they had never spoken to this immigration consultant at all. The only person they'd ever spoken to, and they're based in Vancouver, at least I looked them up on the ICCRC site, they only had ever talked to their own administrative people or agents who are not consultants themselves. So they had basically arranged this job offer in Eastern Canada. I don't know what the situation was, but can you imagine that? $60,000 US to find a job for someone, which in most provinces, and generally speaking, I would say is illegal across the board. This immigration consultant, that's what they did. And this person couldn't even talk to them. There was no connection because they were running out of time with their PNP in Atlantic Canada, and they needed that and the job offer to all work together. And yeah, it's just, that's what we see out there. It's being perpetuated by agents and crooked consultants that are exploiting people. And I will qualify because it's not fair to paste everybody with the same brush. There are some great consultants out there. There are, but they are so few in comparison to those who are only in it to screw you over. And it breaks my heart because I see it every day. Like, people don't go to another consultant usually when their lives are destroyed. They come to a lawyer, and then we can't do anything about it to fix it. All right, I'll end that one. Okay, one last question for today. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Okay, I'll just give a shout out because Alva here says, hey, Mark, Immigration Nation videos are hugely helpful. I really appreciate your work and time, guys. I'm going to give myself a little clap there. Thank you. It's just one more way. You can see the live Q&As, Immigration Nation, a Canadian Immigration Podcast. I have my wild tips on immigration that I'm starting to release, where I recorded them this past summer in the mountains of Alberta, because obviously we spend a lot of time in the mountains backpacking. So I'm sorry, Samit. Big clap for Mark for his weight loss journey. You got this. Oh, man. Thank you so much, Samit. You guys are awesome. I love this. Okay. Okay, let's see here. All right. So I'll finish with Kanu. So Kanu says, hey, Mark, when can we expect soft landing to resume for people with COPR? I think you guys already know the answer to that. It's going to be when the vaccine gets fully rolled out, when the travel restrictions are lifted, because really it's those travel restrictions that are preventing soft landings. Non-optional, non-discretionary travel is the only kind that's accepted. You obviously have to fit within the confines of the non-US Orders in Council, which is everybody else outside the US. You have to also fit within one of the cohorts that is allowed to travel. But when it comes to this whole issue, it comes down to that. Vaccine, travel restrictions being lifted. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this today. This was really fun. I enjoyed it. We've crossed over an hour. I got a little bit of a later start, but I wanted to push through all the way. Thank you so much. Now I'm getting ready to go in this other meeting with another government department right now. And that's what I do as the National Chair of the Canadian Bar Association. So I better get over there and get prepared and get prepped for it. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching today. Wish you all the best as you navigate this crazy world that we call Canadian immigration. See ya.